Welcome back to another episode of Rapid Fire. As always, today's show is brought to you by SimpliFaster, bringing you the latest innovations in sports technology and sports training products. If you want to take a look at our catalog, make sure you go to simplifaster.com. I'm your host, Justin Ochoa, and I'm joined today by Coach Quesenberry, aka Coach Q from Ravenwood High School. How's it going, Coach?
That's going great. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for taking the time on a weekend to knock this out with me. I want to jump in because something that I listened to you on a podcast previously talk about RPR and how you implement that into your program. So I just want to see, everybody has that RPR origin story. What was the demo or the reset that made you say, okay, this is legit and buy in? And then how do you implement that into your program?
Yeah, so about four or 5 years ago, we actually had when I was at the new school, Ravenwood, a freshman coach was doing RPR with the guys. I came in midsummer, so they had already been working with the guys, and I wasn't familiar. I never even heard of RPR. I was like, "What is this voodoo stuff?" And just kind of, he would do it with the team. I did not implement it in the training. But like anything, it sparked my interest, and I don't like to dive into things unless I know more about it. So I just started going down the rabbit hole, watching videos, listening to podcasts, and then finally I was like, I'm going to give this a try. I took the RPR level 1 course that they offer. You you know, there's some things it's hard to articulate, and you may know what I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and you see it, and it makes complete sense, to where I said, all right, I'll try this with some of the athletes and see if we can get the buy-in. And at the end of the day, I figured it takes 3, 4 minutes, to do the wake up drills, get activated. And worst case, you're wasting 3, 4 minutes. It's not going to hurt them. But best case, if it truly is, getting the oxygen to the tissue or decluttering the brain, especially after a school day, there has
Mm-hmm.
to be benefit there and merit. So we went with it. The guys bought in, and then kind of what I just mentioned in there, one of the guys just recently said he's like, I'm not really sure about all this RPR, but I figure it works, or you went spend the 3, 4 minutes on it, because our time is so valuable with the guys and we prioritize everything we do and do it efficiently. They respect the fact that we're not going to waste a few minutes of that time to do something that we didn't believe in.
100%. Yeah, I'll never forget the moment that I was like and that was the lateral push on the hip. I'm drawing a blank on the name, but Chris Corfus did it to me. He retested me, and I'm very skeptical, and so I'm like, always, I want to win this drill. And when he reset me, I was like, yeah, I'm in. I need to know more. And so it was beautiful to kind of implement that into my program as well. And I love seeing it grow. What are some of the ways that you implement that? Like, is that a pre-practice thing, pre-lift thing, daily, weekly? How are you kind of utilizing that in your program?
Yeah, it's daily. It's always right before we train, whether we're outside on a speed day or if we're in the weight room or even the team pre-practice, the RPR and pregame, same
Hmm.
thing. That's just where we start. Like right now, this time of year, we have the early mornings. That's when we have access to the weight room. So tomorrow morning, it's the first 3, 4 minutes. We'll start with our diaphragmatic breaths. And I think it really does get them locked in. It's like anything, it becomes routine that kind of sets the tone. Everyone's quiet. We do the breath. We start with zone 1, move to zone 2, and then we just get on with our, whatever we have planned for that day. So,
Yep. So let's talk about the weight room a little bit and some of the things that you guys are doing training wise. Is there any sports technology that you guys are implementing into your training? And if so, what are kind of your go-to brands or products there?
but as far as true tech, we use the catapults to track our, you know, max velocity, our speed, our management, load management with the guys. And then, of course, more outside, we have the skyhook jump mats that we use in the weight room. And of course, they're portable. They charge, you can take them anywhere. We actually have 3 of those. We're still a little old school with the stopwatch and the tape measure. So for broad jumps
Uh-huh.
or standing triple jumps, things like that, we measure. Med ball throws, can't really measure the height per se, but we'll measure distance on overhead or kneeling throws or from the chest, whatever it may be. And then also in the weight room, we don't have VBT. We're not blessed with that yet. So we use Google Forms is where we track all the guys' weight information, reps. We do wellness checks, could be body weight, could be how many hours they slept, how much protein they're getting in a day, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's just, how they're feeling that day and just kind of get a poll and see where the guys are over the course of our training cycles.
Awesome. So with the catapult, this is something I'm interested in. Is that almost like how you guys, obviously you're checking your guys' top speed and things like that, but is there a readiness component that you also take from that, or a load management, fatigue management component with that? I'm not familiar. I've never used them, so I'm trying to learn for sure.
Yeah. So the main thing is we always try to make sure we hit 95% of our max speed every week.
Okay.
In season, Mondays are max velocity day, Wednesdays an acceleration day, and of course game days on Friday. So if a guy's dropping below that, if he's 94, 93, it's close, then we'll look at, what is their total yardage at practice, because it track compared to a game. We try to keep our practice volumes at less than 50%, ideally 45% of our game. And over the course of 14 games last year, we were right on that. Like our hardest practice day may have hit 45% of our top game as far as total yardage. But we got the guys. We're two platoons, so we have over 120 guys on our varsity team. So we don't have a lot of two-way guys. We've got, we had one guy that starting cornerback. He's at Auburn now. He graduated early. He would still get 15, 20 offensive snaps. So that's a kid you got to watch practice volume, how much he's getting, make sure he's still hitting his speed. And he was a 23.4 mile per hour, I guess. I mean, he's got to be cooking to hit that. Guys like that, we only had a few guys that played a little bit two ways. So I think it's great to make sure practice volume is where we want it to be in relation to the game volume to keep those guys healthy and fresh. And it definitely helps us because game 14, we had the same 22 starters as we had week 1. So it was a good
Hey,
tool.
that says a lot, man. Not a lot of people
Yeah.
can say that. That reminds me, so it kind of brings me right into my next question. You're in the off season now, gearing up for next year. I always like to see, what are some changes that you are trying to implement into the program? It sounds like you guys have had a lot of success, but you're always trying to find more and trying to see how you can take it to the next level. So, how are you changing things up this off season?
Well, I think when we switched to this more sprint based football approach about 4 years ago, the main goal was to get them faster, right? Raise the ceiling to raise the floor, build team speed. I think the speed drills and everything we implement every day helps with their athleticism, their coordination. And then, like the RPR, start studying more of Tony Villani's game speed. And we started to implement a lot more in that over the last few years. And now that the guys are getting faster, you get the guys in the 22s to gain a tenth of a mile per hour, for what it takes. We could be improving. They're trying to get that one step separation. So football is a game of change of direction. Obviously, we've always done that. We've done agility, but Tony Vaughani's got a great curriculum out there. It's $10 a month, easy, accessible to people. I mean, he's accessible that you can reach out. He does a weekly Zoom call right now that's free, where he goes through all the different levels and progressions of his game speed curriculum, which is a living document too, which is awesome. He's always put new content in. And so we've really put a lot of focus on that. So we have our max velocity day, we'll have an acceleration day, and then we have a game speed day. Is how we do our 3 days right now in the off season, and working on that, acceleration, deceleration into the roll 90s or in the 135s, all the different things that they're going to need in the sport of football, anyways.
That makes a lot of sense. And I've heard him talk about, just how when you get faster, it is potentially harder to stop, decelerate, reaccelerate because you have so much more speed. So is that how you're kind of bridging that gap with the game speed stuff?
Yeah, and then you talk about that epiphany or that big moment like the RPR when he did the demonstration. I don't know if you've seen it, where he takes like a 4.8 tight end, 4.8 40 guy, and a 4.3 DB, and they get 1 yard start. And then they do the test. They have all these pro guys. Like, how long do you think it'll take for the 4.3 guy to catch a 4.8 with just a 1 yard start? And most people think anywhere from 8 to like 15 yards, and then it takes 30 to 40 yards.
Yeah.
And that's kind of mind blowing that just that one step of separation can create that big of a distance that even if you have this great top speed, to be able to use that speed in a controlled sense that you're not running full speed as a receiver into a route or whatever it may be. I mean, you can actually be out of control. So learning how to control it. So we still, like I said, want to get the guys faster. We're going to do the max velocity every week. But now that we've built our team speed, we have to be able to apply it to the game, which will make us even better. So that's where, because when we first started the catapult like 4 years ago, I think we had 12 guys that could hit 20 miles per hour, and we checked it recently. It was over 60 guys.
That's
So
awesome.
it's yeah, and then they all wear them. So it's a lot of speed.
That's big time. So, last question I've got for you. I always like to ask this kind of a deeper question. It's like, what is one thing that you have recently changed your mind on, or something you were just flat out wrong about? And how did you get to that light bulb moment? And then what are you doing now moving forward?
So I could probably say a couple of things here. I mean, that's the beauty when you do this. I'm 50 years old, so I've been doing this stuff for 20 years. So you learn a lot through
Uh-huh.
trial and error. I was always a weight room first guy, like a lot of strength people, and I always thought even the off season we just got to get stronger, we got to get bigger, faster, stronger. But everything was on the stronger part, and we thought the speed would take care of itself. And when we switch to this more, we prioritize speed as much as we do our strength. I've realized by getting the guys faster, our strength has actually increased
Mhm.
more so than when we focus just on the strength. It didn't necessarily make us faster. And I truly believe they're both married. Obviously, you need to do them both, but I think a lot of people don't prioritize the speed year round. And as you know, I mean, strength, once you develop a good base, you can go 2, 3 weeks and retain a lot of strength, but speed detrains itself in 3 to 5 days. So
Mhm.
we've got to constantly hit it. And the other thing I would say over these years, because I was on the coaching side too. I coached high school football for over 15 years in the area. We don't condition, and people think I'm anti-conditioning. And sometimes it causes these debates on Twitter, if you will. And it's like, not anti-condition. I'm just telling you, we don't. The way like right now, we're building speed, explosiveness, power, and strength, getting ready for spring ball. And then we always let the sport train the sport. If the coaches run a good practice and they run their drills right and it's all in a performance state, they're going to get in game shape. Our guys the last 3 years have never had a conditioning issue. And all these people are like, fourth quarter, put out the trash cans, make guys puke in the summer. We don't do that. We don't. We do like I said, it's the max velocity day, the acceleration, the game speed, and they practice. And that's it. We've not run a gasser, a tempo run in 4 years. And I used to do all that. So I feel like I can speak on both. We've taken it out, and I don't think it's necessary if you do your sport practice the right way. And we use that time again to get our guys more athletic, faster, bouncy, where they can jump high and far. And it's worked for us, and then one guy was arguing, I think he was out in Oregon trying to argue what we do. I was like, our guys are healthy, they're fast, we're winning, they're strong. If we're wrong, I guess I never want to be right.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
No,
it's not broke. I'm not going to try to fix it. Yeah.
100%, man. No, I think there's so much value in that. And like you said, I think a lot of strength coaches, they start so strength dominant. But when you flip to that speed first mentality, one thing that I think a lot of people miss the boat on is you will get stronger or have the capability to because of the improvements you're making to the central nervous system. And
100%.
and that alone is like mind blowing to some people. And it's like you're raising the ceiling, like you said. So it's really cool to hear you say that. And I'm more on the basketball side. So for me, I totally agree on the conditioning thing because a real hooper knows it doesn't matter what conditioning you do leading up to the season, you have to play basketball to get into basketball
100%.
shape. There's absolutely no other way around it. And yeah, you can do short-sided games, you can do some conditioning type drills, to work on those systems, but you got to go play or you're going to be toast those first couple games.
Well, that's the thing. And I have a CrossFit background too, and used to do that all the time. I can jump on the assault bike, the rower, do double under jump rope. But then if I go play 30 minutes of basketball and I haven't played in a couple of months, I'm dying. Yeah, I'm dying. Smoke.
Yeah,
To your point,
exactly.
that's
Yep.
100% what it is. So And again, like right now
Yep.
it's February and people are all freaking out like, oh, we're not conditioning. Pretty sure we don't play a game till the third week of August.
Right.
We're gonna be fine.
Yes, sir.
And
Absolutely,
I tell
man.
you what, true, and it's probably why we carry 128 guys on our varsity team. That doesn't count the 50 freshmen. Guys love it. They should love training and coming to
Hmm.
practice and being there. If we were running these guys in the ground, there's easier things to do than play football. Because we talked a little
Yeah.
bit off camera about the weather in Nashville right now. But in the summer, it gets 100, and that heat index is nasty. You're going to have to want to be there, you know.
100%.
So
Yeah, I love
I
that,
think that's
man.
a big thing too.
It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like you guys are building that culture of, you know, creating not just good athletes, right? But like good habits and healthy habits for these kids. You know, not everybody's going to go to play to college, but everybody
100%.
should have a good foundation of how to stay healthy, how to be healthy, how to make fitness part of their life moving forward so they have a high quality of life. And I think that alone is a huge impact outside of the football.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing. Like you said, I mean, less than what 3%, maybe not even that, will go on to play at the
Hmm.
next level, especially a game like football. But these things are they can do take for the rest of their life. And again, back to I always said the weight room and Tony Holler always says like never stop sprinting. Keeps you younger,
Hmm.
and that's something that I now try to emphasize in our weights class too, even with all athletes, because I get the girls soccer, the wrestlers, the baseball players, whatever it may be, and then the swimmers, and sometimes they're like, why are we sprinting twice a week? And then you pull up where I know Brian Kula trained a swim team, and he did all their what do they call the dry land training, and he
Hmm.
emphasized speed, and then they broke 48 or 49 swim records that year.
Yes, sir.
Back to like you said, training the central nervous system, which carries over to all sports.
100%, man. Well, before I let you get out of here, thanks again for joining us. Where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more about what you do?
We do have a Twitter handle. It's Ravenwood Strength and Speed, which you see there. We took the conditioning off our title.
I love it. Yeah, I
Strength and
love it.
speed. And we put some things on there. I usually try to highlight what our athletes at Ravenwood are doing, whether they're in football or not. But every now and then we'll put some videos and share things. But I'm easy, accessible. People reach out. We get coaches that come visit. They watch us train. I'm happy to. We hosted the spring-based football clinic here a few weeks ago. And then I still get calls. We had coaches from 20 different states, over 100 coaches. I had a coach from one of the coaches in Michigan that came down and called the other day. We talked for like an hour. There's a group of coaches, East Tennessee, coming out in 2 weeks to spend a day with me, watch us train, watch how we work with the other athletes in weights class, and tie it all together. So always happy. I think if the people on Twitter that are passionate about it, they love to share. At the end of the day, nothing we do is original. We all beg, borrow, and steal. And then we do, number one, what's best for the kids and the athletes. And always happy to share that to make other programs better as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm looking forward to putting this out. And once again, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.